The last week of August, and we've got the outlook. Looks like summer is making a comeback this week, and we'll probably have some thunderstorm activity and maybe some severe weather risk along the way. The tropics are quiet in the Atlantic, they're busy in the Pacific. We'll talk about that, take a look at the long range, all on this Sunday night Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system. Join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is on the description to this podcast. Use that coupon code Joe Rayo.
Summer 2024, and it
And,
will feel like summer this week. Yes.
yes, and if you use it, you will get
And big percent off, Joe.
yes. So it was a nice few days off. Today was my fifth consecutive day of lows in the 50s, and the second consecutive day. Got to 51 here yesterday in the morning. It was
Wow.
54 this morning, and barely got back to 80 this afternoon. It's just been really gorgeous here in North Georgia, and of course, your stretch of weather since last Tuesday, with the exception of Wednesday when you had all that instability, has been nothing short of spectacular in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, but that is going to change going ahead this week.
Yeah, well, it looks like we're going to see a wide variety of conditions here this week. Tomorrow, late tomorrow evening, there may be, for some, a couple of strong thunderstorms. Will dry out and clear out again on Tuesday, although the humidity is going to be higher than we've seen in recent days over the next few days coming up, and a very humid and just downright hot day on Wednesday. And with a weather front approaching from the north and west, looks like we'll have an even greater risk. Just by sheer extrapolation, Joe, and I'm sure we'll see that in a few moments. The SPC forecast has a broad area of marginal to slight risk just west of our area on Tuesday. You have to think that that's going to move eastward and envelop much of the Northeast for Wednesday. So we could have a rather active weather day on Wednesday, especially late in the day.
That's a nice looking little shortwave that's approaching on Wednesday. So I'm thinking we may actually have them started off when tonight they do their update at 2 o'clock in the morning. Day three will be Wednesday into Thursday, and I'm thinking that they may put up a slight risk from the get go. So I think marginal risk. I think you're going to put up, and I think they might even put in a slight risk in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, if you look at the Tuesday, and we will see that I'm sure in a few moments, Tuesday's SPC has a rather large slight area risk located off to the west. And if things just move along to the east, we'll probably see at least a part of the Northeast inside of that slight zone on Wednesday. So I agree with you.
And meanwhile, a hurricane is passing south of Hawaii. Hurricane. Now, is it pronounced? I've assumed that it's spelled Hone, Hone, but I'm assuming that it's pronounced Hone.
I I really don't know if it's Hone, if it's Honi,
You know,
if
it's just like when you walk in the door and Renata says, "Hi, Hone."
it's it's like the old joke about when somebody landed in um, Hawaii for the first time, and he asked a native, "Can I ask you a question? Is it Hawaii or Hawaii?" And the person answered, "Oh yes, it's most definitely Hawaii." And so the guy said, "Oh well, thank you very much." He said, "You're welcome."
Nice, exactly. Welcome tonight to everybody on the chat board. Hope everyone had a lovely weekend. We took an extra day off last week because, as obvious, there wasn't a whole lot happening. Last week had to be one of the more quiet weeks weather-wise across the United States. I mean, there were a few pockets here and there, but I was just looking at the Weather Service homepage all week, and outside of the heat issues in some places, there really wasn't much going on with respect to precipitation.
No, not much at all. Again, a little bit of instability kicked off a couple of widely scattered showers. Of course, yours truly had to be underneath one of them at the Dutchess County Fair on Wednesday. But aside from that, it has been beautiful, and the humidity has been down, and we've had cool nights. The coolest was, I think, Wednesday morning, down to 51. So it's been great. This has been, if you had this week off, this past week off, you hit pay dirt. If you can overlook the fact that there was still leftover mayhem from last Sunday night into early Monday morning with all that rain, especially if you live in Connecticut.
Yes, correct. So this is a definitely a welcome dry slide. Anyway, just to finish off, saying hello to everybody on the chat board, and those of you who are not on the chat board but are watching maybe for the first time, or you just like to lurk around in the background. We're glad that you're here. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss us. We're on Sunday through Thursday most weeks at 7:35 p.m. We're off Fridays and Saturdays, but sometimes if there's a storm around, we finagle the schedule a bit, and we'll let you know when we do make changes. And if you like the show, hit the like button because it's nice to be liked, and we like to be liked. So there. All right. So yeah, just to what? Why don't we do Monet? Okay, and because the Pacific tropics, all of a sudden, after being dead for so long, have now run through their eighth named storm, which happened today. So we've got three of them here on the map, and I will outline them here for you. Um, the one on the far right is the new Tropical Storm Hector. Then we have Hurricane Gilma in the middle, and Hurricane Hone is just south southwest of the Big Island of Hawaii, and that's the one that is causing some issues there. They have tropical storm warnings for the Big Island. I'm not again, this is always a semantic issue. I'm not questioning what I'm just kind of trying to understand the logic. I'm not criticizing the Hurricane Center or how they decided this, but they have tropical storm warnings up for the Big Island. They have gale warnings, but no, instead, for the other islands, they have gale warnings up instead of tropical storm warnings. They talk about in their discussions that the Hawaiian Islands are going to experience tropical storm conditions. So I'm not quite following the logic. What's the difference? Because I thought, well, tropical storm warnings and that's gale warnings also. So it's the same in terms of the wind speeds. So I'm not understanding that. Any clues? Can you enlighten me, Joe Rayo, on this? Do you know anything?
No.
Well, I think you could give me a yes or no answer. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't, I'm just trying to understand it because when we look at the watches and warnings map, if you look at Hawaii, all the coastal waters are under a tropical storm warning. The Big Island is under a tropical storm warning, but everybody else is under a gale warning. So I'm trying to understand why they make that distinction between the Big Island versus the other islands. Oh well.
It doesn't matter what kind of watch or warning or advice. I've never been able to get a handle on any of the criteria because it's different from, seemingly from one state or one region to another. So I really, it's hard enough for me sometimes to understand what's going on right here in the Northeast. So please don't start hitting me with questions about the Central Pacific. That's
Yeah, I'm it just crossed my mind, seeing that because if it's confusing to me, it's confusing to the public. So anyway, there's another shot so you can see the enhanced cloud tops there. This is not a large storm from the standpoint of coverage, but it is large enough that even though the center is a fair distance south of the Big Island and will be a fair distance south of the other islands, in fact, the distance will get wider. Uh, Bands of rain are moving up to the north and are over the island at this point, and we can check out the Honolulu radar, Joe, and there's rain over the Big Island and then over the islands to the west, including Oahu and Honolulu. So they're getting rain and wind. And let me just see if there's an observation here that we can pull up. Current conditions, observations. Okay, so they got the hazards map that they're using. So, there's still, as far as winds are concerned, I mean, there's some gusts of 25 to 30 on land, but nothing higher than that. On the Big Island, we've got uh, KAHUKU. Want to give that a try?
No.
Okay. Help me here. You're a co-host. Uh, Kahu Kahuku. Uh, their wind speed is 14, gusting to 31. I mean, you can get that on the south shore of Long Island with a sea breeze. Hilo at the airport is east southeast at 15, no gust. And let's see what this one is. Kahlua, Kona, Keyhole Airport, or K-hole. Um, Keahole is how it's spelt. I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to be, crude here.
What
Uh,
Kahlua Kona?
Kahlua Kona, and then it's
Kahlua-
Keahole, Kehola, Kehola Airport.
I don't. I've,
You don't know. Let's move on. North at 8. So I mean, in terms of what's going on wind wise, other than the fact that it's raining over half the islands at the moment, I don't think anybody really would know that. If they didn't tell you there was a tropical storm or hurricane to the south, you may not know it. Now, of course, if you're right on the shore, you're probably getting some big waves because they're forecasting like 12 to 15-foot waves coming in to the south facing shores of Hawaii. So there you have it. So this is going to continue on to the west. If it survives, it may even make the international dateline and cross it. Now, back in the mainland, we've got heat advisories, excessive heat warnings, and excessive heat watches up for much of the lower lakes, and then going back up through Wisconsin into Minnesota, into the eastern Dakotas, the eastern half of Nebraska, much of Kansas, and down into Oklahoma. The excessive heat areas are in northwestern Illinois, eastern Iowa, western Wisconsin, southeast and southern Minnesota, and then for some counties also in western Iowa and down into southeast Nebraska and into southeastern parts of South Dakota. We also have a working severe thunderstorm watch in eastern Utah, western Colorado, and a portion of southwestern Wyoming. The rest of the country is pretty quiet, and when we check it out on the loop, um, and this is really great. This is really great weather. This was a very impressive dry kind of air mass that came down into the eastern states because it's taking a long time for the dew points to come up. That's a lot of when you get these dry shots in July and the early part of August. It came in for a day and then it went out. This one really hung on for a long, long time.
and I noticed that from the Climate Prediction Center, the 6 to 10 day outlook still has above normal temperatures from the 31st of August to September 4th here in the Northeast. But in the 8 to 14 day outlook, and that would be from September 2nd through the 8th of September, below normal, cooler than normal conditions. So sometime, sometime, let's say around the 3rd or 4th of September, I think CPC is anticipating a nice push of cooler air.
Well,
Although,
how about you show that to our studio audience?
well, if you allow me to.
I most certainly have.
Oh, well, okay. Then let's do it.
Yes.
So here are the temperatures, as I said, from August 31st to September 4th. There's a swath of above normal probabilities, above normal temperatures across much of the eastern United States. Notice, however, that over the western Great Lakes and central plains, there's a nice little area below normal temperatures sitting
Yeah,
there.
you got ridges on both coasts and a trough in the middle.
And that actually progresses and spreads eastward, so that by the time we get to the 2nd through the 8th of September, we have a broad area of cooler than normal conditions covering much of the central and on into the northeastern United States and part of the mid Atlantic. The only drawback is that, unfortunately, for both the 6 to 10 and also the 8 to 14 day outlook, you can see that a broad area of above normal precipitation will also be occurring throughout much of the east and also central and southern plain states. This is the 6 to 10 day precip outlook, and this is the 8 to 14 day outlook. Whoops, hang on. Whoops, let's try that again. There you go. So you can see, Joe, that while it is trending toward cooler during the first week or 10 days of September, the folks over at CPC are also suggesting that more often than not, there'll probably be more in the way of cloud cover and also the chance for some precipitation to fall during that same time frame. We'll see. We'll see if
Yeah,
that.
we'll see. Well, if there's at least initially, if you got ridges on both coasts and troughs in the middle, if the ridge shifts a little bit to the east, it's in the transition, you're probably going to have a southerly flow setting up, and that's never good, particularly in the summer and fall months, because that just is, straight Atlantic tropical moisture. I just hope we don't get into another situation where we've got a looming trough and cold front that can't get through because we've got a hurricane offshore, and we wind up with another, we wind up with the monthly catastrophic historic rainfall for somebody.
Right. Somebody, hopefully not over Dennis Cassia's house or my house, by the
All
way.
right, correct. Um, and it's bone dry here again too. I've been running my sprinklers, which I'd rather not have to do. Not that it costs me any more money, but just the fact that I have to go there and move the sprinkler around. Anyway, the radar's not all that active in the Northeast. We do have some showers, though, up in New England today, and particularly in eastern New Hampshire and parts of northeastern Mass. A couple of thunderstorms in the mix there, also in northern Maine and in the St. Lawrence River Valley, seeing some showers and storms. Otherwise, there's actually a few blips on the radar in northern New Jersey. I can't. Oh, and there must have been a small thunderstorm there, Joe, in northern New Jersey, because uh, very briefly, maybe for about 2 minutes, the severe thunderstorm warning box pops up in northwest New Jersey. It just comes and goes. But it's a very, very teensy weensy thunderstorm that we're talking about here. Got some patchy showers and downpours in the state of Florida, but the rest of the southeast and most of the Gulf states are quiet, save for a few showers and downpours in parts of southern Louisiana and coastal Texas. And then it's kind of busy in the Rockies, where we're seeing showers, thunderstorms, and about half a dozen severe thunderstorm warnings and even a couple of flash flood warnings showing up in New Mexico. And that is where the Storm Prediction Center is focusing their attention on tonight, where we have a severe thunderstorm watch in eastern Utah. We don't talk about Utah very often here. But tonight they're center stage, Joe. They've got a severe thunderstorm watch in the eastern part of the state and western Colorado has a severe thunderstorm watch. And southwest Wyoming, also a new severe thunderstorm watch has now been issued for portions of southeast South Dakota and north central Nebraska. So there's that. Now, tomorrow, we have uh, the Storm Prediction Center for tomorrow has a marginal risk that runs from just south of Sandy Hook in New Jersey, north northwestward to about the Catskills, and then continuing all the way up northward to the Canadian border in New York State, and a slight risk for eastern Long Island, the eastern half of Connecticut, much of Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and a small portion of southern New Hampshire. Also, we should note that there is a larger area of slight to enhanced risk from Nebraska northeastward to Wisconsin and Minnesota. And in that enhanced zone, Joe, there's a 2 to 5% tornado risk. So that's with the next trough after Monday. That system's going to reach the East Coast on Wednesday. I thought it was probably the right move to put in a small area of slight risk for tomorrow, even though It's not the strongest trough in the world. I think there's enough action going on aloft to support more than just an isolated thunderstorm or two in that area that SPC has indicated. And also another area of marginal risk, by the way, Northeast Virginia to much of Maryland, into northern West Virginia and southwestern PA. So they just added this slight risk this afternoon for southeastern New England, back to about eastern Long Island.
Right, right. And the marginal risk that you mentioned, I think, also has just been added recently for Northern Virginia and northern sections of West Virginia. At one time, it was just the broad zone of marginal across much of New England and eastern New York. But
Right.
they've now added a slight risk north and east of New York City, and again, another area of marginal to our south and west. But again, what you see over in the northern plains, that broad area, in fact, it is quite a large area of slight risk and even a enhanced risk inside of that. That's all going to be coming in on Wednesday over the Northeast. It's looking more and more, Joe, to me like a very busy weather day here in the Northeast for the threat of possible thunderstorm activity, especially later Wednesday and on into Wednesday night.
Right. Now, this is Tuesday that I just put up on the screen, and they've got nothing for Tuesday along the coastal plain from Delaware to Maine, but general thunderstorms to the west, and they've got the slight risk going into western New York, northwest PA, and the marginal risk, I'm sorry, and that goes back to Iowa and Nebraska. Then they've got this slight risk zone from Wisconsin, across Lake Michigan to Michigan itself, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and the northernmost part of Ohio. So that's Tuesday into Wednesday, and on the long range for now, they've got predictability too low from Wednesday into Thursday, but I'm predicting that their predictability will change tonight when they do their first outlook for Wednesday into Thursday. So they will post that to 2 a.m. and I think our show will be long done before that happens. Rainfall amounts this week, eh, um, half to three quarters of an inch across, it's kind of uneven across New England, New York State, Pennsylvania, down into Virginia and North Carolina. Some places a little less, some places a little more, some places more than just a little less. But it's thunderstorms, it's convective. I assume that this looks like a setup. I'm not so sure about Wednesday, late Wednesday. It might not be one that thunderstorms get out of the way quickly. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's not like what we saw back 2 weeks ago. So was it 2 weeks ago or last weekend?
Last
Forgot.
week,
Last weekend, yeah. So, but still, it's something, everybody's going to be a little extra sensitive after what happened last weekend. So we will, of course, keep our eyes on it. Otherwise, actually, not a whole lot of rain across the Gulf states of the Ohio Valley. Florida's on the busy side, the central and southern Florida, up to a few inches there. Also, the Texas Gulf Coast and the coast of Louisiana with several inches there, and up in the Western Lakes, back into the eastern Dakotas, where you're talking about as an inch to maybe some places about 2 inches plus, and in New Mexico, West Texas, and into Kansas, we've got areas of half to three quarters with pockets of an inch and a half, and most of the western United States is going to be on the quiet side. So let's look at where we're going here longer term. So I've got this is the 18Z GFS. So, of course, we've got a trough that's dropping from Labrador to off the coast of New England, which is going to be responsible for a little shortwave coming down tomorrow, which will trigger off some thunderstorms. Big ridge in Missouri, and that means that's where the heat is. So the heat is all kind of focused in this zone here for the next couple of days. And then in the west, you've got another short wave here that's in the Rockies, moving into the Rockies. You've got a trough from the Gulf of Alaska southward. Most of the Canadian air is kind of getting deflected well to the north. So this is going to be, we're kind of on the edge of the hot air this week. And then on Wednesday, as we get into Wednesday, there's a short wave that's going to be moving through the lakes and then dropping southeastward. So that might be the trigger mechanism for a cold front and some thunderstorms later Wednesday and Wednesday night. But it's not a big push of cooler air. We'll have to wait for that. Sometime going in during the Labor Day weekend, there's a much more impressive trough that's dropping into the eastern half of Canada. And I think that probably means, Joe, that I mean, if you had to kind of want to guess at the long range, maybe some kind of front and thunderstorm risk on Saturday, and then cooling down with lower humidity Sunday and Monday. And the other thing say is that Tuesday and Wednesday will probably be the two hot days. Once the Wednesday system goes by, it may not be that it'll be humid, but it probably won't be as hot for say Thursday and Friday.
Well, I should point out, and I'm sure you're aware of it already, but for all of you who are listening right now, you say that next Sunday we may get into a cooler and drier and clearer air mass, and I'm certainly hoping that that's going to be the case because 1 week from today, special day here in the Rayo household, my daughter will be getting married, and certainly we don't want to have a stormy day on Sunday. Also, Mrs. Rayo and I will be celebrating our 40th, 40. That's if you've been married 40 years, that's the Ruby wedding anniversary. So I think you can understand, Joe, why I likely 99.9999% will not be here to do a show with you on Sunday of next week.
TRG tornado on the chat board. I don't know if you're just putting the same message over and over and over again, but you're putting the same message over and over and over again. So I kind of understand it the first time. The answer to your question is, as far as WCBS going off the air at midnight, yes, the new station will still start. Right. Well, they'll go off and the new one will go on. So anyway, um, I don't know. There are people on the chat board. I guess they're talking
Thanks
about
a
other
lot.
things,
Thanks
which
a
is
lot,
fine.
Steve. Steve Lapointe writes on the chat board, I'm sure my wife is getting a chuckle out of this. Renata Rayo, congrats for you putting up with Joe for 40 years.
Yes, and
Thanks
you
a lot.
agree, and you agree with that because you want to live for another 15 or 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So I'm just looking at the ensembles, which kind of agree with the operational Joe about a nice trough coming into the eastern part of the United States next weekend, which might mean for a nice day for next Sunday and for Labor Day. And then after that, I mean, it's kind of on the warmish side to the northwest, but it's not anything crazy. So um, I'm sorry, CPC probably has a good chance of nailing their forecast that they've put out their long range.
Can somebody do something about getting rid of Edon Rama, who's put out the same message?
Okay, so this is somebody being hold on. I'm taking care of it as we speak, Joe.
Yes.
Um, so yes, their message has been they've been deleted and hidden. And let me do the other guy because it's obviously the same person. Um, yeah, I always say when we start getting the porn people on the chat board or things like this, it sounds like YouTube is distributing us through all sorts of different communities of persons.
Yes.
Okay, so there I've taken care of that. All right, back to the GFS going forward. So we'll see what's happening here. Let's roll it back to the beginning because it's always best to start at the beginning. And we have this, as I said, for tomorrow. This little thing that's coming down through New England. I would think if you're west and southwest of New York City tomorrow, you probably don't have a big chance for severe weather, or maybe you'll miss out on the thunderstorms altogether. But if you're northern New Jersey, north and east, you got a shot for something. And you can also see the activity tomorrow evening across from Montana to Minnesota, and then that continues during the overnight. That's where all this enhanced risk tomorrow being from the eastern Dakotas and up through Minnesota and Wisconsin. So that sort of makes sense. Not much happens Tuesday, other than the fact that we'll probably see some places maybe get close to 90. And then Wednesday will be a hot ahead of this front that's pushing down from the northwest. And, the GFS and some of the other models are saying, you know what, could be busy with showers and thunderstorms late in the day, Wednesday and Wednesday night, with maybe some severe weather from, let's say, from eastern Ohio to southeastern New England in that zone. And maybe as far south as northern Virginia and the Delmarva Peninsula. That would be my prediction. And then after that goes by, the next high, which moves across southeastern Canada, kind of moves fairly quickly toward New Brunswick. So we actually get into an onshore flow on Thursday and Friday. And it's not one isobar either, it's a couple of isobars. So I think that means lower temperatures. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, if that's the case, is it going to be are you going to be fighting clouds all day long, which maybe means temperatures don't get out of the 70s in some places, or is it going to break out in inland areas? So that's going to be something to watch here. Showers in the mid-Atlantic, and then there's a front here that comes through Saturday evening, and then it goes by, and then we see improving weather conditions for Sunday and for Monday, Labor Day. How about we look at those dew points for you, Joe? Because you don't want to be sweating profusely through that fantastic tuxedo you're going to be wearing.
I still have to pick that up.
You do?
I'm waiting for Men's Warehouse to tell me if it's all set and ready to pick up.
Well, they've got, let's see, this is the end of the week. And the dew point map would kind of imply that enough dry air comes down from New England because they got dew points sinking in the low 50s as far south as northern New Jersey from Thursday and on Friday as well. So that may imply that maybe there will be enough dry air that comes down on the northeast wind to lower the humidity, but I'm not 100% sold on that idea. And then the dew points go back up on Saturday. By Sunday evening, Joe, the dew points are dropping back by Sunday afternoon, the dew points are in the mid 50s on the GFS over the Hudson Valley. Where is this wedding taking place?
This will be taking place up in the Ulster County area. So,
All right, so you got a chance of being comfortable.
well, I would certainly hope so.
Well, I would hope so too. You know that,
I'm amazed. I'm sorry. I'm amazed at the number of different monikers that this jerk. This jerk.
Yeah, don't you? I wonder about that sometimes. It's like, I mean, is this what you seriously need to do to occupy your time? I don't get it. I don't get the. I don't get. I don't get why people do this. It's like you're wasting your time. You could be cleaning your dirty toilet, which would be something really useful to do, as opposed to coming on a weather show and just putting up nonsense. I want to see what the message is. Is this the same message? Yep, it's the same. It's
same message. It goes over and over again. Just had different names, different monikers.
oh, I think I'm hitting my microphone a little. I had some software glitches that I had to take care of before the show started.
That's
So
Dull Air.
what's that?
Dull Air now is the name.
Oh, here's a new one.
Or Dull Air. I don't know.
Oh, they're only causing us to get a bigger audience. Let's. All right, I took care of him. So anyway, Bella Lugrissi, thank you. Like I said, I had some. I had some. I don't want to turn the chat off. Okay, this jackass has just made another one. I could keep doing. Let's not even talk about the person because obviously there's a mental issue here
Right.
that needs to be dealt with. So anyway, I have Briller Jeopardy here somewhere. Let's
By the
see.
way, speaking about News Radio 880, that will be ending its run at 12:01 a.m. tonight. In case you're wondering, it'll be Wayne Cabot, who has been a longtime anchor on WCBS radio. He is going to be the last person, and he's going to do kind of a monologue or soliloquy. And on Thursday, when he was talking about it on air, it's going to be a pre-recorded one. It will not be live, but he said he's been having trouble in getting through it. He says I'm going to say a few things that's on my mind or whatever, but I know what he's talking about. I know it's obvious that in trying to record, he's probably has not been able to get through it because of all the emotion that is coming through. Same thing happened with me, Joe, when I gave my farewell on News 12. I had to practice for like 10 or 12 times before I was able to go all the way from start to finish without completely losing it. And I'm sure that Wayne Cabot is going to, or probably did the same thing. And tonight, make sure I think you have, if you're going to tune in, make sure you have a box of Kleenex probably close by because you just may need that. Um, and if you're out of town and can't hear it on your AM radio, you can always stream it. You can go on the WCBS 880 site and you can listen live on your computer, which is what I'm going to do. And it's very sad. In fact, the more I think about it, with each passing day, I'm not getting sad. I'm getting mad. I think a lot of people are getting mad that the corporate suits over at Odyssey made this happen. So
I know. And uh, there's nothing what are you going to do?
thank you, Brendan Doherty, for hitting super chat. By the way, if you go on my Facebook page, Joe Ray or Weather, if you go on my Facebook page earlier today, I put up, Joe. I don't know if you saw it, the WCBS blooper reel. 8 minutes of weird, crazy things that happened intentionally or unintentionally on CBS radio over these many years. And some of it is really hysterical. Some of this is really very, very funny. So uh, I know it's a sad day in thinking about the end of CBS, but if you want to get a few laughs or get some levity out of all of this, looking back at the past, listen to the blooper reel. Especially the last blooper, which was done by the then king of all media in the 50s and 60s, Arthur Godfrey.
Yeah. Yes. All right, I got. Let's get Briller Jeopardy underway. We're doing foreign cities, Joe. Foreign cities. You know how much you like doing foreign cities with
Uh-huh.
average high temperatures for the month of August. So we're going to start with Paris, France.
Now, is this going to be in Fahrenheit or Celsius?
They're the Fahrenheit numbers.
Okay. So I will say for Paris, I'll say 84.
Michael McGuire, you nailed it on the nose. 77 for Paris. 77. First number on the board, and it was the right one. Athens, Greece.
I will say
Athens, Greece.
Athens, Greece, I will say 87.
Um, Not a bad guess. It's close. A little low. Uh, All-Star 10 to 10X is in Snake Country. John Melander and Chuck Cardillo and Tyler Fienga at 89, Joe. 89. Next one is Berlin. Berlin.
Berlin,
Berlin.
how about 85?
That actually is high, believe it or not.
Oh,
It's high. Um, let's see. Tyler Fieng is very close. He said 73, and so is Patrick Darcy. And a few people are sort of dancing around it. Um, Patrick Darcy comes back with a 74, Joe. 74 is the magic number. Dublin,
wow.
Ireland.
Oh, I would think they're going to be in the 60s. I'll say 68.
Oh, oh, so close. Oh, so close. Um,
I've been to
uh,
Dublin.
yes. Bela Lugosi at 66, and Vincent Croce at 66, all extremely close. And Patrick Darcy and William Uber at 67 get that one. The next one is Helsinki, Finland,
Whoa.
the happiest place on earth, Finland, believe it or not,
How
according
about
to surveys I have read.
62?
Um, that actually is a bit low. It's a bit low. Miss Blue Ocean gets Helsinki, Finland, 69 for the high. And the bonus one is Northwest Territories in Canada. This is in Yellowknife in the Northwest Territories of Canada. Yellowknife.
And may I ask why the knife is yellow?
I don't know.
Maybe it has butter on it or something. I don't know.
Curry butter, preferably.
50, 50, 59.
Believe it or not, that's too low. Cetopedia, you're close at 67. And Vincent Croce, I'm assuming you have six. I'll round that off and say 66. Okay. Uh, 68. Tyler Fega. Now you're getting into Snake Land. So you're very close. And Chasing Waterfalls, you're very close. Since everybody's close or dancing around it. Norm Roberts, yes, you nailed it. 69. 69 for Yellowknife.
That's pretty good.
It is.
I didn't think it would be that warm up there.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little surprised, but I guess the long days, the long daylight probably helps the cause. So anyway, trying to think, uh, trying to think if there's anything else going on. No, um, I've got nothing new to report. Do you?
No, nothing really. I mean, did the lawn today. Tried to replace our attic fan. You know, the fan that automatically goes on when the attic gets to a certain temperature to help cool the attic off. Well, the fan burned out, the motor burned out. And our problem was not so much getting a replacement motor. Our problem was trying to figure out how to get the fan blade off the old and onto the new. We'll hopefully complete that procedure tomorrow. So
Gotcha. All right. Is your wife doing this or you're doing this?
I would have to say that Mrs. Rayo is the person who is taking care of
She's
what
the supervisor in charge.
the good percentage of what is being taken place with this particular project is done by Mrs. Rayo. I am there merely to hold the motor. She can use the hex key or whatever to try to take, whatever screw or screws off.
You're there to test the blade by sticking your finger inside it to see it to make sure it's turning.
Something like that.
Something like that, yes.
I also had to go and I had to, obviously with electricity or whatever, so I had to power the whole house down. Uh, and then we had to go up into the dark attic with a flashlight to do this procedure. And let me tell you, Joe, the attic, I mean, it wasn't so bad outside today, but the attic, of course, naturally has all that pink
Insulation.
insulation or whatever. It felt like it was like 97 with a heat index of 106.
Oh, I'll bet.
And
Yeah, the
especially,
attic fan does help.
yeah. And so that's why we need to fix the fan, so to speak. So
Yep, exactly. All right, everybody. So we'll see everybody tomorrow, and we'll be back at 7:35 p.m. our usual time. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday night and enjoy your back to work Monday, or maybe you're on vacation next week. Because next week is this week coming up is a big vacation week ahead of the Labor Day holiday weekend. So enjoy, and we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow night. Night night.
good night.